5,
You should
4,
have it as well.
3,
Not had it
2,
before, so
1.
And good afternoon and welcome to the Planning Committee here on the 11th of April. My name is Councillor Gary Marsh, I'm the Chairman. To my left is Councillor Mike Kennedy, my Vice Chair. To my right is Steve Ashdown, one of the more senior members of the Planning membership. To his right is Paul Weeks, our Legal Officer. And you see Catherine, she's another legal officer, another planning officer. In the back two corners are the governance, and they keep us in check. And in front of me and to my left are members of the committee who will be making the decisions. So item 1 on the agenda is to receive apologies for absence. I have apologies from Councillor Henwood and Councillor Hitchcock. Item 2, to receive declarations of interest from members in respect to any matter on this agenda. As I've called in number 5, it was for the reasons which are outlaid. That's the only reason I have any interest. I called that to committee. Does anybody else have any? Nope. Item 3, to agree by general affirmation the minutes of the previous meeting we held on the 14th of March. Has they agreed? Agreed. Thank you. I will sign each letter, each paper. Item 4 is considering the items that I agree to take as urgent business. I do have none. So item 5 is the reason what we're here for today is DM 240230, land to the east of Balcombe Road and south of the M23 Haywards Heath. Okay. I would have said Balcombe as opposed to Haywards Heath, but anyway, West Sussex. And Catherine, this is yours.
Thank you, Chairman. The application is for the change of use of agricultural land to the use of for exercising of dogs, including perimeter fence, pathway, shelter, gate and associated parking. I'd like to direct members to the update sheet, which includes amendments to the wording of 2 of the conditions and an additional condition to ensure that should the business cease on the land, the works and buildings would be removed and the land returned to its original state. The site comprises of the southern section of a larger field with approximate area of 1.2 hectares. The site is within the countryside and the high-wheeled AONB. The site would... Is it connected?
in the back. Thank you.
Okay. So the site includes an area outlined in red in the southern section of the larger field. It would propose to use the existing access onto Balcombe Road, with the rest of the field still using the access off Whiteley Hill to the north. Whiteley Hill is a private road, but includes a public bridleway and has then access onto the public highway network further to the north. The whole field is surrounded by hedging and trees, with this area indicated here. It's an area of ancient woodland. The closest neighbours to the site to the north on the plan is 34 Whiteley Hill, which is approximately 306 metres from the site. And to the south, there's also Poplar Cottage and Beachfields, which is at least 165 metres, but they are further off, south of the plan. Proposed site plan, the proposed perimeter deer fencing, which will have a height of 2 metres, is indicated in green, with a pathway around just inside. The field shelter would be located here in the northeast corner of the site, using the existing access, hard standing to create a parking area for 2 vehicles. The site is proposed to be used for exclusive use for a maximum of 4 dogs at any one time, with opening hours between 7 a.m. and 8 p.m. Mondays to Saturdays, and 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. Sundays and bank holidays. No artificial lighting is proposed with the application, and a landscaping condition has been agreed to reduce any visibility of the site. This slide includes typical elevation of deer stock fencing, as well as the elevations on the floor plan for the proposed shelter, which are of a scale and form which is quite a common feature within the countryside and is considered to be appropriate for the rural character of the locality. So just go through the photos. The left-hand side is taken from the southwestern corner, back towards the highway, looking out onto the site and the woodland indicated here. The middle photo is taken from the southeastern corner of the site, looking back across the field with the highway beyond these trees, and then the rest of the field here. And then this is the existing gate onto Balcombe Road. Whiteley Hill is at a much higher ground level than the site, so these are taken, the first one backing onto the existing gate to Whiteley Hill, looking down across the field with the land dropping, so you wouldn't actually see the site from this from the public bridleway. And then the right-hand photo is then taken from the edge of the site, looking back up across the field, and you also that the neighbour is there, we can't quite see them either. The proposal is considered to amount to a small-scale economic development within the AONB, which, given the scale, form and position, is considered to conserve and enhance the AONB, which is set out on pages 12 to 16 of the agenda. In terms of impact on neighbouring properties, given the separation distance to the closest neighbours, as well as the scale and the opening hours, it's not considered to cause harm, subject to the conditions recommended by Environmental Health, which is set out on pages 16 to 17. West Sussex County Council Highways Authority have been consulted on the application, but raised no objection, subject to a condition on page 18. An ecological impact assessment and design strategy has also been provided, and the council's ecologist considers it acceptable and a condition to comply with the mitigation measures submitted, and that's on pages 20 to 21. Officers consider that the proposal is in accordance with the development plan and is recommended for approval. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you, Catherine. We do have a speaker in support, I think it's Robert Brown. Would you come to where it says speaker there, please? And when you start to speak, an electronic clock will appear on the screen, and you've got 2 minutes. And after 90 seconds, I will say you've got 30 seconds left. No pressure. Oh, no pressure. As soon as you press the right-hand button, it will start. Thank you.
Hello everyone, my name is Rob and I am Paw Paddock Limited. We provide safe and secure places for people to exercise their dogs. This started on my own farm, and now we're working with various farms and estates to build more of these paddocks, providing vital income for an industry that some would say is currently on its knees. Planning is a matter of policy and not emotion. Therefore, we only submit when we are sure the site meets necessary criteria. And having been granted 20 similar sites with a 100% success rate, I can say with some degree of confidence that this site does meet criteria. This can be shown again today as we're here with recommendation for permission from the Planning Department. The application has had no objection from the following: highways, environmental health, ecology, drainage. Furthermore, there are no public comments from the ward. It does come with an objection from Parish Council. Before our submission, we tried to engage with the Parish Council, inviting them to come and see another one of our sites to gain a full understanding of what we offer and the real-life effects it has on the landscape, which is a net gain, in our opinion, not a negative, which has also been shown by our ecologists and the councils. Unfortunately, this offer was declined. The reality, the volume of dogs walked within this space will be dwarfed by any footpath in the local vicinity, and the only real material change outside of the norm would be the land would be the fence and parking for 2 cars. The ecology of the site will be protected and enhanced and will be subject to a condition of this planning. It is worth noting that a lot of these dogs without a facility
30 seconds.
such as ours would be limited to walking in places not so suitable. People don't make the decision to pay to walk their dogs without a real need. The reality, a lot of these dogs would be the exact dogs people work so hard to control for the sake of the AONB, a facility much needed and desired by the local population. Every dog walking facility in the area is over-occupied, some of which have closed themselves to new customers. Thank you very much.
Well done, you handled the pressure rather well. Thank you. Right, if you'd like to take your seat back over there, please. Now, Councillor Edwards and I were the members who called this in, because we're both the ward councillors, and we called it in for the effect on the area of outstanding natural beauty. Having listened to the officer's explanation on Tuesday and visiting the site on more than one occasion to acclimatise myself to it, and walked the public footpath behind it, there are no real planning reasons to refuse this. I did call it in, and well, we called it in for the effect on the area of outstanding natural beauty, but as Catherine has said, deer fencing you will see in the countryside, and the little wooden hut, which is over in the far corner, is, again, you would see that in the countryside. Now, the only reason that I did call it in was the effect, and having seen it, I've decided that I will abstain, because I didn't want to waste anybody's time and effort coming to this meeting, but I just want to gauge what you're saying, because there are no planning reasons to refuse this. My Vice Chairman.
Thank you, Chairman. I read this application with interest, and I can understand why perhaps the parish council are concerned and object to the application. But as we've heard, there's no environmental issues, there's no highways issues or objection, no ecology objection. The condition, well, there is a condition that only be 4 dogs walked on this site at any one time. I can't see how there would be any real impact, and that's confirmed, on the area of outstanding natural beauty. Indeed, it's going to have no impact at all, in fact, conserve the area. And its visibility from the footpath, from the village, the road, is nil. And as we've heard already several times, there's no real planning reasons to object to this application, so I'll be supporting it.
All right. Okay. Councillor Brown.
Thank you, Chairman. Just didn't get everything that the officer said. The hearing aid loop system isn't working, but so one of my questions is from that. The nearest resident, and am I right in thinking that when we've discussed these dog walking applications before, there's been a restriction on the time? Well, we've got a restriction on the time, but it's 2000. That's the whole year. Would it not be more appropriate to say at dusk or 2000? Thank you.
I think it's a good question, very good question. I think it's going to be daylight hours, basically, because at 4 o'clock in the evening, in the middle of the winter, in a blizzard, if we have that sort of thing, nobody's going to walk their dogs on this site, that's for sure. But I will sort of caveat all this, is I would hope that it doesn't try to expand, because this is a totally different application that we had before us a couple of months ago in Hand Cross. They were farming the dogs from as far away as Shoreham, Brighton, to that, and they were going to build this, that and the other. This is more of a rural application. Let's face it, the farmer, if he wanted to, could put up a deer fence. And we wouldn't even bat an eyelid. He could put up a little wooden hut, because we wouldn't bat an eyelid. The change of use is being regulated. I'd like to think 4 is all it's ever going to be, and if it doesn't, it will come back to committee.
Absolutely.
And that's the way I go. Councillor de Bell.
Thank you very much. Can you hear me okay?
Oh, sorry, did you want to carry?
If I may come back.
Yeah, go on. John, could you switch off your...
Oh, sorry.
Sorry. Thank you very much. Yeah, the only thing is that if the hours are still to 2000, the next thing might be lighting application.
But again, that's outside what you would expect to see. That would have to come in front of the committee. Anything other than what they've asked for, and I'm looking at the applicant, that if anything other than what he's asked for will come back in front of the committee, because this is in front of the committee now, so it always come back. And the nearest houses, one's up the road where the bridleway starts, and they're about 300 metres away. And the other one down towards the Cowdery Arms, I would have put it at 100 metres. We worked it out to be about 89 or something like that. So it is a fair distance away. And only having 4 dogs, where the others were talking about 20 plus dogs, is a different ball game, and that's within the village boundary. This one is in the middle of the countryside. John, do you?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. In actual fact, in discussions, all of the things that I wanted to ask, including the distance from some people, I think it's a very a responsible way to deal with a very necessary need. So, and as you say, if anything else happens, they'll have to come back and apply for it. So I haven't got a problem. Thank you.
Okay, I'm looking for a proposer, my vice chairman. Can I look for a seconder?
Certainly, Chairman, I'm happy to propose this application.
Councillor Sweatman. All right. In the normal way, green if you agree, red if you don't, and yellow if you abstain. Yep, we're all here. That's 9 in favour and 1's abstain, which I did say I was going to abstain on that one because I did call it in because I just wanted to make sure. So that has been approved. Thank you. You can stay if you wish to, or you can...
I'll move on. Thank you very much, but I will know you about it.
Okay, thank you. Right, item 2 on the agenda. Go wait for Andy Clark to come in. Could you beat him up and bring him in, please? Cheers, thank you.
He seems quite responsible.
He does, and he did say to me that he should engage with me. He just said, I understand why they called it in. I said, it's not the tipping point, this was the 5th one.
Well, the farmer's going to get paid. He would normally for his half an acre or whatever.
Right, this is item 6 on the agenda. It's DM 232448, Multi Installations Limited, 27 Victoria Gardens, Burgess Hill, West Sussex. And Andy, this is yours.
It is, thank you, Chair. Good afternoon, members of the committee. As the Chair has said, this is an application, Multi Installations, a commercial operation on the Victoria Industrial Estate in Burgess Hill. The application's description is in front of you. It's for the installation, cladding and lagging of a dust extraction system, enclosure of centrifugal fan, replacement of windows to front offices and installation of 3 heat pumps. As we will see, the dust extraction system has already been constructed and is in situ and in operation. The replacement windows and the 3 heat pumps are prospective development which hasn't as yet taken place. I should say this application before you this afternoon, as Mid-Sussex District Council are the freeholders of the land, and in accordance with our constitution, anything where the council is landowner, and I think a couple of applications this afternoon are the same, must be determined by a planning committee. So the site is a commercial unit, I say in Burgess Hill on the Victoria Industrial Estate. It has a lawful use for B2 industrial use, and that use, or the use of multi-installations use, is lawful in accordance with that use class. You're setting the wider Victoria Industrial Estate, but you will note the residential properties to the north, approximately 55 metres from the industrial site itself. As we'll come on to, the hopper which has been constructed lies in this area here to the front of the site. The heat units will go along the eastern elevation of the building, and the windows to be replaced are the office windows to the front. A site plan, this is oriented slightly differently, so the hopper is in this location here, heat pumps along this side, and again, the windows here, but indicates the wider site, which is mainly made up of a very large building, approximately 6,000 square metres in size, home to the business, which constructs fire doors and other means of enclosure, operates, employs approximately 50-odd people. Some proposed elevations, doesn't show it particularly clearly, but the photos will. The hopper is in this location. This is the easterly elevation. The heat pumps shown in those locations there. The northerly elevation, again showing the hopper and the windows to be replaced. So this matter first came to the Council's attention in 2022 when the hopper was introduced and constructed. It does require planning permission by virtue of its height. It's about 8 metres high. The Council has been in negotiations with the owner seeking to approve a retrospective planning permission. That was before you this afternoon. There has been some concern raised by residential owners regarding the noise from the hopper, basically due to the industrial process. Quite a lot of dust is created by the process that is extracted through this hopper and dust extraction system. And the Council has been working with the owner of the business over the past year to try and address those concerns. What we have before us today is an application which seeks to secure the hopper and retain the hopper, but with mitigation to address the final elements of concern around any potential noise and disturbance to residential neighbours. And that includes the imposition of conditions which secure mitigation, which is additional cladding, which will deaden the noise further, a maintenance plan, which will say if it was to break, then how that would be maintained to ensure that there isn't operational issues while it's operating. Most importantly, hours of use of the hopper, which are outlined in the conditions, which will keep it to reasonable times, and construction hours of when they will want to take the work to improve it. At the current time, obviously, the hopper is unauthorised. The site as a whole does not benefit from any hours of use, and the Council cannot at this time impose hours on the operation of the business as a whole. The original planning permission dates from the 1970s, and they chose not to impose hours, but we can impose hours in relation to the hopper itself. So in terms of seeking to determine applications proactively, seeking to try and resolve breaches of planning control, officers are happy that we now have a solution which we can put before members which will secure mitigation to protect amenity and impose conditions which can be enforced. And if they are not compliant with those conditions, there is enforcement powers the Council use to require both the securing of the mitigation and the hours of use. As I say, there's a couple of photos there. A photo of the building as it was previously. Obviously, this is where the hopper now stands, and a photo today showing the street scene. It is acknowledged that the design is functional, probably describes as best. It is what it is. It is necessary for the operation of the business, and in the wider context of the Victorian Industrial Estate, do not feel that it causes harm to the character and appearance of the street scene. So in summary, we have an application which seeks to support a business of a fair size. Officers are happy with the acoustic report which has been submitted, which shows that it can be addressed conditions and an appropriate way of securing that mitigation. And we have firm conditions which will require that mitigation to take place in a fairly short period of time. Therefore, we're recommending it for approval this afternoon. Thank you.
Thank you, Andrew. Before I call the Councillor David Eggleton, can you just confirm that we're now regularising the hours of the use of the hopper, which is one of the reasons that we have so many letters of objection and going through the other places, the environmental protection team.
In short, yes, yeah, and currently is operating without any restrictions. This enables us to impose conditions, not on the whole business, but on the hopper itself.
And without the use of the hopper, they wouldn't be working.
As far as I understand, yeah, without the hopper, they don't really have much of a business, no.
All right, okay, thank you very much. I now call Councillor David Eccleton from Burgess Hill Town Council. You've been here before. You are the ward councillor. Well, you're not the ward councillor, but you're talking on behalf of Burgess Hill Town Council. So you are subject to the 2 minutes because you're not the ward councillor. When it starts to talk, it will come up onto the screen.
Thank you, Chair, and to the committee for allowing me to speak very briefly on this subject. I'm here in my capacity as Chair of the Burgess Hill Town Council Planning Committee, and during our various meetings on this application, we have recommended refusal consistently and continue to recommend so today. Our residents have shared deeply troubling video from their back gardens of deafening noise and ultimately have spoken of their fear that they will forever lose their back garden amenity regardless of these conditions, as they already have done in some cases. These are homes mostly filled with retired people who hope to spend the remainder of their lives in quiet enjoyment of their back garden, and so far it has been anything but quiet. And that's why we recommended refusal on the basis of DP 26 and DP 29 of the current district plan. This really does speak to their fear. We are very much pro-business in Burgess Hill and accept that this is an industrial area and that some noise is not unreasonable. But there is a world of difference between some noise and what our residents have shared with us, and I believe in some cases with the committee as a whole. Their lived experience is that the proposed changes are inadequately designed to minimise the impact of the noise, and that is why we further recommended refusal on the basis of DG 48 of the design guide. However, we do understand that the most likely outcome of this meeting is an approval, and on that basis, we would like to request that the committee, if they are in any doubt, add further appropriate conditions to ensure that our residents are best protected, both during and after these works are completed. Throughout the debate that you are about to have, please do not forget about our residents, and please ensure that the deafening noise videos shared with us are permanently resolved and do not become future casework for town and district councillor colleagues. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor, very eloquently put. Members, before we open the debate, and Councillor Eggleton did actually say something about noise is not unreasonable. For those who've been around for a while will remember the application we had up in East Grinstead about they can work 24/7. Now, they can't work 24/7 if we approve this today, because the hopper apparently is an integral part of their operation. We've all had the letter that was circulated to us, and I think it's reasonable to say that we don't expect 4 o'clock in the morning them to do maintenance on that. And if Andy, if that's at all possible to make sure they don't do that at 4 o'clock, I'm sure that you will have words with the applicant. So, members, I'm in your hand. Does anybody wish to speak? Councillor de Bell.
I keep winning the lottery, don't I? I'm so sorry. I totally understand how the residents feel. I'm a little confused on this, if I may. What is this hopper for? Because, I mean, it looks awful. The building without it looks good. Can you please explain what the hopper is for? It's dust extraction of what exactly? And also, is there not some way they could mitigate this by building something around it if it's absolutely necessary and the noise can be reduced in such a way as to make it more amenable to the residents? Is there not some way they can build something around it that is far better looking, or something like that? Thank you very much indeed.
I think the cladding that Andrew mentioned, I don't think he told us where the cladding was going. So I think you'll find he's going to explain where the cladding is going to go to help you allay your fears.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you, Councillor. I am not an expert on these matters in terms of the, but as far as I understand, they make quite high spec fire doors and things like that. I think they've been involved quite a lot with Crossrail and things like that. Sanding down of doors creates a lot of dust and working with wood. So this, you know, as far as I understand it, extracts the dust, keeps it within bags within that. I'm going to go back in it. Back one, sorry, but back in the top of the hopper. And I think back to the noise, and it is not disputed that in its current state it causes harm to amenity. When they empty those bags full of dust, what they call these reverse jests. I don't want to make an impression of it here, but it makes a loud sort of hissing noise, which it does cause harm to amenity. So, as far as I understand it, that's what it's there for. In terms of the appearance and the cladding, the application is accompanied by an acoustic report which our environmental health officers have looked at, and it addresses that there is potential harm now. In the mitigation and the potential ways to remedy that, there were two options given. One is the complete construction of a structure around this structure. That lies beyond the scope of this planning application. That is not what they've applied for, and would require planning permission in itself. We couldn't impose a condition requiring that. So we have to consider the planning application in front of us. The other mitigation was the cladding of the panels, as the chair has explained. As far as I understand, they really just go around the metal part of the top of the hopper. They will not realistically address any concerns regarding the appearance of it. These are just cladding panels, so we will continue to look in the state it does, and yeah, we must just take a view on the appearance. We don't believe that there's cause to refuse the application on that alone. Thank you.
Like a big Hoover bag. My Vice Chairman, Councillor Kennedy.
Actually, I was going to ask the same question about a bit more detail about the cladding. That was all I was concerned about, because I hadn't really understood exactly what it was going to be. But if it's going to be something that is put around the top of the hopper to cut the sound out, is that right? Obviously it's not going to be a construction, as you just said, around it, but rather an additional wrap or something of that sort.
Yeah, the Kingspan panels, they are just clad panels, so it deadens the noise. It's simply like we have acoustic things maybe in a building such as this, so it should deaden that noise, and the prediction is that therefore that would lower the noise to a point where it wouldn't cause harm to amenity. There is a condition imposed that post-implementation must submit another verification report to say that the decibel levels have been reduced to that which the acoustic report predicts it shall be. And we can again enforce that take place. But yes, so they are just on the top of the hopper itself.
So who would actually provide the information about the decibel levels? Is that something for environmental health, or is that something that the applicant provides?
The applicant would have to provide the report, as they have done as part of this planning application, to discharge that condition. We would then consult with our environmental health colleagues as to whether we feel that report does what it says it does, and that it addresses the harm. If not, we can refuse that condition and enforce that.
Yeah. Just whilst I've got the microphone, is there any reason why this application is retrospective? Is there any reason why they didn't make this application much earlier? I mean, it's 2 years now since this has been operating, or at least 2 years, I think.
I can't tell you why that they constructed it without requiring planning permission. That is unfortunate. And I'm sure as members are aware, we can't deter an application just because it is retrospective. The application itself has been in for a while. We want to get to a point where we could agree and secure this mitigation. So it has been quite a long process, which is unfortunate, but we feel this is the best way of bringing this matter to a close.
Okay, and I felt I had to ask a question because we've all seen the letters that have come in from the resident, Mrs. Holt, I think it was, and it was a pretty powerful series of complaints, objections and concerns.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Yeah. I think it's fair to say that without the hopper, potentially 50 people could lose their jobs. So if anything they could possibly do to mitigate it, then we will go for it. Councillor Cherry. Oh, you switched off.
Sorry.
Yeah, you're ready now.
I'm on again. Yeah, a couple of questions. You're obviously going to be mitigating a lot of the problems, but who is actually going to validate whether these whether this mitigation is actually being carried out. We've got 8 weeks, haven't we, to put the cladding on. But it doesn't say, I'm not clear on the report.
It won't be Andy's team, will it? It will be.
But will it be somebody outside of
It will be the
of this
Environmental
company?
Protection Team, is that correct?
Yeah.
Andy? Have I got that wrong?
No, Joe, you're right. As ever, the obligation to comply with the planning condition lies with the applicants. If they don't comply with it, then we can enforce that. We also have this verification report that is required to be submitted to show that the work they've done has addressed the harm, and that, if you see the acoustic report as part of this application, shows when readings were taken and decibel levels and all those sorts of things.
Right,
And they're provided by qualified acoustic engineers. So if that report shows that the mitigation has been installed, then the planning
Right,
commission
so
will
it's,
comply with it.
independent of the...
Oh, it's
of this-
independent, yes.
Yeah, that's... the
Oh, they're
most
not going to verify themselves?
They're not going to be marking their own homework. That's
No,
fine.
no.
No, thank you very much.
Okay, councillor Brown.
Thank you, Chairman. Oh, before I go on, I'd just like to thank Andy Clark for the detailed work he's done, as usual, bending over difficult, trying to find a suitable solution to difficult situations. I'm quite amazed that these people, the previous planning application in 2023 for a spraying and some shelving, they did that without planning application, and now this one has gone in parallel with it. But anyway, I know that's not a reason for turning it down, but I've been and had a look at it, and the first thing that you notice is it's massively high. You can see that from the photographs. And the scale drawing showing it is not to scale at all. And this is important because the noise level, because it's so elevated, the noise is going to carry far more. There's no attenuation when you're close to the ground. You get attenuation, So high as that is, and the houses that have been complaining with the noise, you can understand it because it's beaming down on them. It looks to me like this is a second-hand bit of kit that's just been used as it was bought. It's quite noisy. It's rattling away, which really it shouldn't be. There's a low-speed fan in there, and I'm speaking now as a retired chartered engineer, so I've a little bit of experience of sound attenuation, and also I've read the Acoustic Southeast report, which makes two suggestions. One is to clad the. I'm just replying to colleagues now who've brought this up, you can clad externally and internally the noise emitter, which is obviously the cheapest way to do it, or you can build an attenuation enclosure around it. Of course, that would be very difficult because of the enormous height of this, and I can't see any justification in why it is actually so high. So I've great sympathy with these people, and the final point is about this impulsive situation, and there's some jets in there, and I've cycled round and had a look at it in operation and listened to it, and every 20, it says in the report 20 to 50 seconds, but quite sort of randomly, there's a little blast of air, which is sufficient to make the pigeons pegging on the ground fly away, and it's happening all the time. So it's, and that the acoustic engineer has allocated 6 dB to that, just randomly, because I think it's pretty much impossible to work out something impulsive like that. So it's from his experience, but. That's another thing that is disruptive, because you can get used to motorways and constant noise wherever you live. But it's the impulsive sort of noises, like also they've got a baggage handling it's a diesel vehicle, and when it goes to collect the bags and collect the sawdust coming out of this, Of course, when it's in reverse mode, which it is most of the time, it's beeping away. So there's more noise. So I think really this is a very badly designed piece of kit. I'm not sure that, well, my view is that they should put in a proper planning application justifying why it's as high as it is and why it's making the noise it is, you know. And then even there's another point, and that's maintenance. It's so high, if you put all this Kingspan stuff on it, all you need is a storm, and the stuff's going to be potentially blowing off. You know, it's really, I've said enough. Thank you very much.
Well said. Yeah, I understand where you're coming from, but we can only deal with what we've got in front of us. But I do think that Andy's got their measure. I don't think you'll find they will try anything else on a retrospective. We like to think anyway, so he's on his radar. Councillor Sweatman.
Thank you, Chairman. Yeah, I mean, I do feel for the residents, and I'm glad this is now being mitigated against with this cladding. Retrospective has been mentioned, but that could happen for a number of reasons. And when we're looking at a retrospective application, we treat it as a new application. Lest we forget that this actually is on an industrial estate. So it's unfortunate with this houses around, but we do expect some sort of noise. I don't think we can refuse this one because we have conditions on hours of use for the hopper. Our environmental health officer, that's why we got one, to look at this and to make sure, it's protected, or residents are protected in this case. So I'm quite happy. I don't think we can do any more, and I'm sure Andy's done his best to look at this from his point of view. So, yeah, no problem with this one, Chairman. Thank you.
Thank you. I think by the fact that it's been now regularised, I think that hopefully, and the fact when the cladding comes in, if it deadens it further, then we can. Councillor Sain.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Yes, I mean also about this application, which our Councillor David Eggleton also have said, and particularly Mr. Brown, Councillor Mr. Brown said that the issue is here is actually the noise, you know, and it is to the residents nearby, you know, they will be affected by it. And also, taking into account the discussion we have here, it is also, we don't know about the disabled, you know, sounds that, how big it is, and also mitigating it into reducing the sound or the noise. I don't know if it has been properly planned and discussed, or if there is any other options that it could be reduced further. So I am also worried about the residents, though it is an industrial area and it is, you know, a business, and it's also good for the town council, as we are all for business. You know. And I think that if there is anything can be done, you know, to reduce the noise, and if there is any other options, obviously I don't know whether it's been explored, and the experts would know much better what it is. But I am also, it is, I'm actually for the residents, I feel it's worry, and as you know, everybody, your Vice Chairman, Councillor Kennedy said also that there's so many letters there of the residents that they will be affected by it. So I am not actually quite sure, and you know, understand that is that, you know, how are the business they have, you know, explored the situation to reduce the noise as well. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you. But I think Andy Clark has mentioned that they've got 8 weeks. They've got to have a baseline and see if it does actually happen. And if it doesn't happen, then enforcement action can be taken against them. But we can only deal with what we've got in front of us. We've taken on board your poor residents, but unfortunately, it is an industrial state, as Councillor Sweatman said. But if we can mitigate some of the noise, they'll probably find if it does work very well, they'll be thinking, what the hell, where's that noise gone? sort of thing. But I doubt that's going to happen. But we can only deal with what we've got in front of us. But if Mr. Clark is now on the case big time, so I think you'll find that if they transgress, between Mr. Clark and our environmental protection team, we've got their number at this point in time now. And I see nobody else wishing to speak. Could you speak your microphone off, please? It's gone. Okay, so I need a proposer and that's
Yeah,
the Vice
I'm
Chairman.
happy to propose this. Well, I was concerned about this application when I first read the paperwork. But we're regularising the situation, hopefully, and we've got the additional noise mitigation conditions, we've got the validation report coming, so on that basis I'm content to propose the application.
Councillor Sweatman, are you wishing to second it? Okay, so as before, green if you agree, red if you don't, and yellow if you abstain. Have you pressed the button you shouldn't have pressed?
9 at the moment.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, there's 9 of us.
Should be 10, I think.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, yeah. Okay, good. Right, we've got this, 5 are in support, 2 against, and 3 abstaining, so therefore this application has been approved. Thank you. Are you staying or are you departing? Okay. Mr. Ashdown is there. Mr. Ashdown's the officer for the next 2. And I was remiss to say that the only reason it's here is because we own the land, as we do for the next 2 applications. We own both the land. Matt? Yeah. We are now on item 7, which is DM 233213, land at Cookfield Recreation Ground, High Street, Cookfield, West Sussex. And Steve, this is yours, in light of Mr. Watts not here.
Thank you, Chairman. So the application is for the installation of equipment to deliver free Wi-Fi, which includes a 6-metre high column mounted wireless access point and a wireless access point attached to the pavilion roof. So the site itself is the Cookfield Recreation Ground. You've got Cookfield High Street, which is out here to the east, and Ockenden Manor complex is to the south. The site lies within the Cookfield Conservation Area. The area of outstanding natural beauty or the national landscape is located to the west here. And there's a number of listed buildings which are referenced in the report. They all front on the high street to the east of the site. So in terms of the proposals itself, the column will be located in this location to the west of the existing pavilion building, with the pavilion building itself having a small antennae on top. So the antennae on top of the building is about 1.5 metres, and this is the Wi-Fi access box, which is located at the top of the pole there. And as I said in the description, the pole which sits to the west of the pavilion building is 6 metres in height, galvanised steel, and again has a similar Wi-Fi access point at the top of the pole. So just a couple of photos. This is the pavilion building. The 6 metre pole will be located roughly in this location here, and obviously there'll be the 1.5 metre antenna on top of the building. You can see just in this photo the existing floodlights or lighting with a galvanised steel pole. So in terms of the proposal, it's similar in terms of appearance to other infrastructure and paraphernalia that you already have on the application site. So as set out in the report, officers are content that the proposal in terms of its impact on the conservation area, impact on setting of listed buildings, impact on the area of outstanding natural beauty, impact on residential amenities and the general character and appearance of the area is acceptable. And clearly, given the nature of the proposal in terms of proposing free Wi-Fi access, then it's certainly something which officers are happy to support, and we're content that it complies with all policies within the district plan, Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Thank you, Mr. Ashdown. We do have a speaker, the ward councillor, Councillor Malcolm Avery. You'd like to come? Well, you're a member of a different planning committee here, so I think you know you know the score. And just to remind anybody watching this on the on YouTube channel, Councillor Avery, Councillor Avery does not timed because he is the ward councillor. So your time won't appear on that.
Okay, thank you, Chairman and Committee. I'm going to keep this very brief, so I'm not going to go over the hour mark. As District Councillor for Cuckfield, Bolney and Anstey, one of the biggest bugbears in our ward is a lack of reliable mobile Wi-Fi and internet connectivity in the area. As a Cuckfield resident myself, I can vouch for the fact that mobile signal is completely absent in large parts of the village, and internet connection is sporadic and unreliable. I therefore support this application, which will hopefully help to upgrade local communications in the village. With BT undertaking the digitisation of its network and removing landlines, the need for strong and reliable broadband connections has never been more critical, especially for the elderly and vulnerable who need to contact support and emergency services. I therefore hope that the committee will be minded to approve this application, which hopefully will go a long way in serving a real and present public need. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. Well, I think this is an excellent use of resources, and I'd like to see this rolled out across all the areas of Mid-Sussex that don't have any decent internet connection. Does anybody wish to speak on this? No? Okay, so Councillor Kenny, you haven't spoken yet.
Yeah.
You're not against it, are you?
No. Just a question. Who is making the application? Mr. Jones is referred to, but I don't know what organisation is spending the money to put the mast up and thereafter provide the service. And it may be in the planning documents, in which case I apologise, but
I think
who is spending the money?
It's Section 106 money,
Right.
and I think Simon Jones, isn't it? Is it? I think he's up from our property team.
Sorry?
Our property team. So he'll be the applicant, and it's a Mid-Sussex District Council applicant.
I see, so it's our infrastructure.
Our infrastructure. I would be telling you lies if I thought it wasn't, but I think that's what it is.
Okay.
And this is, I think we need to, if this goes through, we need to start looking at our own sites that we know that across the district that are devoid of decent coverage. And I know your part of the world is devoid of decent coverage, and parts of my village and other villages, certainly in Ardilly it is anyway. So, is he one of what years old, isn't he?
Yeah, it's not cheap.
No, it's on our land. He works for North Limited, but it'd be getting funds from Section 106, I would have thought.
Yeah, sorry, but who is paying?
It's a guy from,
Who
Mike Jones from North Limited.
Sorry, who in North Limited? It may sound like an idle question, but it's going to be a public Wi-Fi. People are concerned about things like the security of the data that flows over it. I saw that it was going to be the service was going to be managed by Sky. That was in the papers. But, so just for our communications, it's always a good idea to know who's running them, I think.
Very good. Yeah. I think the officers are trying desperately to find out. So talk amongst yourselves. Yeah.
So I'm just having a quick look at the planning statement, because, so apologies, I'm not the case officer on this one, but North Limited are the company. So North, it says here, North will implement an external Wi-Fi service within locations across West Sussex County and District Councils. So they are...
I know about it. When I was in the cabinet, we were the lead authority to roll out this sort of thing across the county, and we were given money from the government, and we would minister it on behalf of the county council, and they're probably our subcontractors doing it on our behalf, because they're the ones who put in the Wi-Fi, which is going through Arderney and ultimately up to East Grinstead for the you lucky people in Burgess Hill and Haywood Heath have got it, but us poor bunions out in the countryside, we haven't had it. So, but I think that's where it's come
If
from.
they've understood, North Limited have a contract to roll out these points.
Yeah.
Yeah, so apologies. They say they've been appointed by West Sussex County Council to deliver broadband services within several locations. This is obviously one of the locations.
Yeah, we got the money off the government and the conductivity programme, and because we can only do it within Mid Sussex, we engage with the county council, and it's their programme. We passported the £12.7 million through, and this is obviously as a result of it.
Okay.
If that makes sense.
It makes sense. It leaves me with a question about ongoing costs of running it and providing a service. Did North Limited provide the service for West Sussex?
It's a
Does anyone know
contract.
that?
It's a contract, so I assume they will. It's if all the people in Burgess Hill who are now benefiting from the fibre, and now one of the villages that I've got in Arderney, they're doing it, and it's eventually, I think it's making its way to Alsted Keynes and West Hoveley. I think they're using the Bluebell Railway network, to do that, and then they'll eventually find its way up into East Grinstead, and from East Grinstead, if I remember rightly, it's coming down towards Copthorne that way. I think that's what it's coming that way. Yeah, they missed out us, unfortunately, in Balcombe. Councillor de Bell.
Yeah, just
Paul, can you switch off? Thank you.
Just a quick comment. I always think to myself, there's no such thing as a free lunch. So, I mean, the fact is that fantastic if it's going to be supplied free. Our internet in East Grinstead is at the moment provided by various providers.
It is.
And it costs us quite a bit each month. But there was, just flagging up a little concern, there was some people conducting an effort in the middle of East Grinstead a couple of weeks ago. They were saying that 6G, the radiation is a problem.
Oh, wow.
Well,
I would like to get 5G in Balcombe if it's all right. I'm lucky with 4. But if you look at the proposal on page 47, it's installation of equipment to deliver free public
exactly, yeah.
Wi-Fi. So as long as you get...
Can we have it too, please?
You will get it eventually. And that's it. The clue's in the thing. Free public Wi-Fi. No wonder Councillor Avery was dead pleased about it. Getting it free. Councillor Bashir.
Yeah, I just wanted to add a couple of things. I mean, nowadays we have a very vast service, as you said, Ardingly, especially Balcombe, Cookfield is another one. If we could have those services through our villages, it would help us, our work more constantly, instead of, you just, phone them and say we're here, but they don't know we're here. Especially with the taxis and, all other deliveries and, So I think, you know, it's a wonderful things to start, really. And if we can, you know.
I had hoped it was going to come up the railway line, but it didn't. It did a right turn as it came out of Haywards Heath and went up to Armington Line instead, which was really annoying. But they were following the line through Hanson's depot. That's why they were going that way. Yes, I agree.
Yeah.
We need to get all, you know, we only live 30 odd miles from London and we've got some really pathetic connectivity around this part of the world. Right, do you want to switch off your, thank you. With that in mind, can I have a proposer?
Yes, sir.
And the seconder again? Oh, Councillor Casella, you were quicker than he was. Okay, we've got a proposer and a seconder for this to be approved. Yep, that is unanimous. That has been approved. Thank you very much. Malcolm, you can now use your Wi-Fi, eventually. Now this one is yours.
Yes.
And this is item 8, DM 240672, 38 The Martlets, Burgess Hill, West Sussex. We've seen this a lot, and this is yours, Steve.
Yeah, thank you, Chairman. First of all, just draw members' attention to the update sheet where we've had the remaining consultation responses back in. So drainage have no objection, highways have no objection. They did suggest a condition of the car parking, but as I set out in the update sheet, the parking is already there. And we've also got the observations of the Town Council who are raising concern about the impact regarding the progression of the urban garden project. So again, I've just made some comment there that there was a temporary 18-month permission for a public park on the area which is proposed for the car parking. That actual permission, so the 18-month period, runs out on the 14th of April this year. So there is going to be no impact on the provision of that project. So this is as the chairman alluded to, this is a proposal which is, I think this is the third time it's been before us. The reason it's before us is we do have an interest in council in terms of a landowner. It's a prior approval application, so potentially what they're proposing doesn't require planning permission, and we just need to take a view whether we require any more additional information. So the proposal is for the use of the former Lidl's building and the Martlets Height building for filming for a period of 31 days. So in terms of, I'm sure most members are familiar with the locations. I don't know if you've got the... There we go. So this is the Lidl's building here. This is Martlets Height here. The proposed car parking will be in the site of the former Martlets Hall building, which has long since been demolished and is a hard standing, so the vehicles will park on there. As set out in the report, officers are content that the proposal meets all the relevant conditions of the prior approval requirements, and we don't require any further information, and that it can proceed as we have done in terms of the decision we've made on the last two occasions, Chairman.
Yeah, Hollywood, eat your heart out. Right, this is our third iteration of this one. You know, I think they're doing pretty well. This is the third series, so I think they obviously like what they're doing down there. Does anybody wish to speak? Councillor Sain, you're the ward councillor. Are you okay with this?
Thank you, Chief Chairman. Well, I mean, first of all, I would like to know how, I know that it's 31 days they are going to use it, and what would be the time length, I mean, for how long?
12 months.
12 months, yeah. Yeah, so based time when we ask for in this empty space, the library and merchant hall, that we wanted a urban garden to be built there, while the development project is not down or cleared out, because at least it would look much better, and also community will be involved, and it could be helpful for footfalls as well. But obviously, if it's the planning permission for the garden, the park is running out, isn't it, for a few days. So we don't have much choice or options really there. But still, we would like to have that urban garden done, if it's possible. Yeah. So yes, on this condition, and as you said, is that they don't need any planning permission, but we have no choice. We have to probably just either for this another period as well. So I'm not quite against it. But for urban garden, that's what it is aimed for, really, very much during this empty space. Thank you.
Yeah. Bearing in mind that the garden is only a temporary,
yes,
if it happens, and no doubt it will happen, and if ITV commercial, fourth series, no doubt they'll come back, but it seems to be doing rather well. Anybody else wish to speak? I have a proposer. Anybody wish to second it? Councillor Cherry? Could you switch your speaker? Thank you. Those in favour, green. If those who don't, red. The other ones abstaining. Right. We have 9 in favour, 1 abstaining. That's been approved. Thank you very much. Right. Item 9 is we haven't got anything. Item 9 is questions pursuant to Council Procedure Rule 10.2, due notice which has been given. I have none. So therefore, I'm going to use that one up there as opposed to the one on here. 5 minutes past 5. Thank you very much for your attendance. Could you remain seated until we get the all clear that the filming has stopped?